Hi and welcome back. This is the second installment on a system to keep up with the new material and insights in our academic work. In part one, I explained how you can subscribe to blogs, journal tables of contents, other websites, and other resources through RSS feeds or syndication feeds. And I also demonstrated how to set up lists of feeds in a commonly used RSS feed aggregator called Feedly. This process eliminates the need to go out to check on these resources and make that effort. Rather, they come to you, and through your feed reader, you can monitor new entries and new resources and determine what you want to move forward with. So this is really hopefully an easy to use format and reading process for you to keep up with your work. So that was in the first video. In this video, I'll demonstrate how I process the feeds that I've subscribed to, what I do with that information, how I filter through it, how I read it later on, and then how I can archive and organize that material for future work. So I'll be demonstrating this process using my iPhone, which is really where I typically process my feeds. I typically don't do that sitting in front of the computer. Please note, though, that all of the tasks that I'm going to demonstrate can be done on your computer in your web browser if that's your preference, or through an Android device or a tablet. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I'm just going to demonstrate it in the way that I actually do process these feeds. Be sure to check the notes for this video on luminaris.link for all the links to the different tools and resources that I'll share with you. Without further ado, let's dive in. So as you can see, this is my iPhone home screen here. If I click on the Feedly app, we can take a look at all the different feeds, the categories. So here's the education category. Scrolling down, journals. You can see all the different feeds that I've subscribed to. So again, this is connecting with the previous video. And I can actually look at these feeds directly here in the Feedly app and read through them. And that's fine. I actually prefer to use an RSS reader that's actually a paid app, and that's called Reader. And this one I like very much. It's great because you can process the feeds as you read them. If you want to save them to other services or move them around, it works really, really well. So while most of the tools I'll be working with today are free, this is one that is a paid app. So this is a $5 app through the iOS store, and they have Android apps as well. So this is if you like the way this works, this is something for a relatively small investment you can add to your phone to be able to process your feeds. You can do a lot of these same things with the Feedly app that I'm going to demonstrate, but you actually have to get the Feedly Pro account, which is a paid service. I believe it's $3 a month. So you can choose whichever way you like to go. I've used Reader for years, and it works really well for me. So here are my feeds in Reader. I subscribe through Feedly, and I'm looking at them in the Reader app. And I can just look at all of my unread feeds in all the different categories. And often that's what I do. But if I'm particularly productive today and I want to look really just at my journal article entries, I can click on my journals folder there, and then I can look at all the unread in different journals, and you can see they are grouped by the journal name. As I scroll down, we'll see another journal name here. Or I can look at a specific journal for the new entries for that particular journal. So really, some different options of how you want to view those feeds. And let me go back here. If, for example, I'm reading through the education feeds, a lot of times what I'll do is I just kind of quickly scroll. I could be in line at the grocery store or wherever. I'll just quickly scroll through the feeds. And if I determine, there's really nothing that I want to process here, do anything further with, I can click the mark all as read, and then those won't show up now in my list of unread feeds. So that's a quick way I can go through and process those feeds that I'm not going to use. However, if there are feeds and entries that I do want to read later or process further, I can do that right within this app. So let's say I'm taking a look here at the British Journal of Educational Technology, and I'm interested in this game-based learning article. I can skim through and read the abstract quickly. And if I realize, wow, this is something I really want to take some more time and read later on, I can then click on the little export, and I've linked different accounts here. I use Instapaper as a read later client. I'll demonstrate that in just a minute. But I could also send it to Evernote. I can email that out to a colleague or a friend, whatever I like. In this case, I'm going to send it over to Instapaper, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. So that works again for whether it's journal article feeds, if it's a tech-related article. Let's say I can click on this one, and I might, again, be interested to read this article. I can send this over, again, to Instapaper. And then if I switch over to Instapaper, I'll show you what that looks like. So this is, again, a free app. It's available on iOS, Android, basically all the operating systems. And what Instapaper does is it will pull the content of whatever article or website that you send to it and create a really nice reading environment. So let's take a look at this last one I just did. So you can see it's very clean. It's formatted to fit your screen really well. It's a good way to read through that article. And it will show important images if there are images that are key to that, but it pulls out all the advertising. So just as a way to demonstrate, this is the view in Instapaper. This is the view of the article online. So we can see actually this one is formatted very nicely, but oftentimes we get sidebar things or advertisements or videos that make the text almost unreadable within, on the phone or even in your web browser. Instapaper provides a really good learning reading environment for you. So I'm going to go back to my abstract article here. So let's say I have the time to really read this and think about this and say, wow, this is really something, this would be really helpful as I'm planning a new course. So one of the advantages here to Instapaper is I can then export this to a different app. So again, I can email it, I can send it to Twitter if I want, but what I'm going to do is use Evernote. Again, another free service that's wonderful for collecting information, note-taking, and so forth. You can set up a number of different notebooks within Evernote. So you can see here I've created, I have several different folders here. I'm going to send this one to course materials because this is something I'm going to want to access as I'm preparing for a new course this fall. So I'm going to save that there. And in this way, I can process those feeds. I can send them directly to Evernote from my Reader app if I know that it's something I'm going to want to use in a course. I can send them to Instapaper if I want to take a more close look at it before I send it into Evernote. Because the way I use Evernote is that is my work area. So that's not my filtering. I'm not reading things in Evernote. Those are things that I know I'm going to need for work that I'm doing. So it might be for a course, it might be for a committee I'm on, it might be for a writing project, but that's my work environment. So I only send things to Evernote that I know I'm going to use. So again, a free service. I can click on my Evernote app here on my phone, and I can view all the different notebooks that I have here, and we can go to the course materials notebook, and there's the game-based learning that I just sent to it. And Evernote is great because what it'll do is not only it'll pull that content in, but it'll provide the link back to where it was found online. So it's very handy for being able to track back if you need more information or reference information or so forth. So Evernote works really well in that way. So while I can use Evernote on my phone to, again, to read or to process the information that I've saved from my RSS system, oftentimes I prefer to do that either in the web browser or through the Evernote application on my computer itself, because you've got a little bit more screen real estate, more to work with. Evernote is great in that when I pull up, here's that same game-based article, the abstract that I was looking for, I can highlight particular sentences that are going to be helpful for me. If there's things I want to remember, I can change the font color, to draw attention to that. I can add different tags. So if this is related to research, I'm going to add the research tag. I can add multiple tags. So if this is about teaching, I can add that tag as well. And I can add a number of different tags. I can write comments directly on that piece, points that I want to remember. I can attach additional files to that if I need to. So I can work with this material quite a bit within Evernote. So works really well for that purpose. And then the beauty of Evernote then is I can quickly search all my notes and it will pop up with results. So if I knew it was something I was interested in related to games and game-based learning, I just typed in games, and all of these notes are notes that reference the word game somewhere along the line. I can also, again, search for my tag. So I can go to the tag things that I've tagged as research, search that, it pulls up just those articles. So it's really wonderful as a way to both work with the content that you add and then also to be able to go back and search it to use it for different purposes. So I'll do another video soon on Evernote just as its own tool in and of itself. But I hope this gives you some sense of how I'm able to process those feeds really quickly on my phone using Reader. I can send them to Instapaper if I want to read them in more depth, especially if it's a longer article. And then I can send it on to Evernote if I want to actually work with that or archive it for future reference. The system works really well for me. It sounds maybe complicated, but I think once you set it up and once you get going, you'll find that those times where you're standing in line at the grocery store or you're at the car wash or whatever can be very productive times for you to process the information that comes to you that you find valuable for your work as a faculty member. So hope this video has been helpful. Please check back the show notes for this at luminaris.link. And again, there's going to be references and links to all the different tools that we described, as well as some alternatives too, if these are not particularly of interest to you. Hope you found this helpful and love to get your feedback via comment on the blog post there. And thanks.